In a world obsessed with tools and real breakthrough, which struggles to stay human, we have people that maintain connection and keep things stable. Welcome to the Voice of Impact, where belief meets action. Our podcast amplifies stories, systems, and solutions behind meaningful change. I'm your host, Robert Ndoping. Today's conversation sits at the intersection of old school human connection and new school innovation. A reminder that no matter how advanced our tools become, impact still begins face to face, heart to heart. My guest today is Scott Schilling, an international speaker, sales trainer, and what I would call a rare kind of connector. Scott brings together two worlds that don't always speak to each other. I mean, in real life, sometimes. He has that cutting edge of innovation, technology, and AI, and timeless boots on the ground for communication, presentation, sales, and relationship building skills. With over 40 years of experience in coaching, sales, marketing, and training, Scott has impacted hundreds of people globally. He he has delivered about 3,000 live events and shared stages with legends like General Colin Powell, Sus Osman, Jack Canfield, and Les Brown. You can name it. And he's built a reputation not just for inspiration, but for results. Known as the authentic connector, Scott doesn't just teach people what he does. He helps them connect to who they are, sharpen their skills, elevate their mindset, and take them in an aligned action through lived experiences, even in their businesses. Scott's purpose is simple yet profound: to inspire people to live and lead with spirit, love, and joy. Scott, it's our pleasure to have you today on Voice of Impact.
Thank you. I'm honored to be here. This will be fun.
Amazing. So, Scott, before we talk about the stages, the systems, the success, I love to start with you. What's the story that shaped how you learned to truly connect and some of these things that you do right now?
I think it's interesting. I grew up a five sport athlete, so I played a lot of sports, had some amazing coaches early in my life. And, sports is a team activity. Even the more individualized sports still take a team to build. So part of it was learning that. I read See You at the Top by Zig Ziglar when I was probably 17, 18 years old. And there was a quote in that book that forever set my course in life and in business. And that is, you can have everything in life you want when you simply help enough other people get what they want. And I was blessed to know Zig and be on the road with him, still friends with Tom, Julie, and Cindy, his kids. And it really set upon me that servant leadership positioning of help others first. When you do enough of that and you do it well, you're going to be okay. So Zig was the testament to that, and I saw it modeled very well. And it was something that I chose to do and have chosen to do my entire life and my entire career. It works pretty darn good.
That's pretty rich. Was there a moment, I mean, within, your own career, your own growth, when you realized information is not, I mean, cannot do transformation alone. There's supposed to be connection and some other things attached to that.
Well, the reality is, and people have heard it a million times or more, people do business with those they know, like, and trust. Really, it's about trust. But in order to earn trust and get to trust, you have to first be known and you have to first be liked. That people tend to forget that side of it. Um, but it's really, you know, it's really all about trust. We date those we trust. We marry those we trust. We no longer marry those we don't trust. I mean, we separate, right? Well, that happens both personally and in business. And so it really is about creating trusting relationships. And trust, in my opinion, needs to be built in advance of the actual need for the relationship because it takes time. Because you first have to get to know each other, then need to get to like each other, then you can finally trust each other. Well, if trust is imperative to do business, that means there's a lot of effort that has to come ahead of that in order to earn that trust, so that then when somebody's ready to do business or some kind of something, uh, the trust has to be built in advance of all that. So that's why without authentic relationships, it's hard to truly have transformation, because if you don't have an authentic relationship, you probably don't have trust. And if you don't have trust, you can't transform.
Yeah, you mentioned some words which I would love to use that and put that together as one of the things you're known for, the authentic connector. What does authentic connection actually look like in practice, especially in business, sales, and leadership? I mean, in your own world.
Well, authenticity is you have to be yourself. I can't be you. You can't be me. We can't be what we think people want to see. We have to be who we truly are. And so that in my world, that starts with integrity. Integrity comes from the word integer, one, wholeness. How you do anything is how you do everything. So authenticity is being the real you. That's being integrous. It's having that integrity behind it. And then connecting is, you, I believe you truly need to have you have to like people. You have to want to get to know them with no strings attached, no purpose other than to get to know them, right? The fact is, if if there's business that's supposed to come up or transformation or whatever it might be, when you know people at an authentic level, more than likely you're going to discover that, because it's no longer an intellectual or tactical relationship. It's a heartfelt, strategic relationship. It's a strategy to know and like people. And it's a good one, because then there's the heart to heart connection, which then creates the trust, which then creates limitless possibilities from there.
You've used the word trust a couple of times, which is major in what you do. Can you speak a little bit on trust as a performance multiplier?
Well, Stephen M.R. Covey wrote the book a number of years ago, The Speed of Trust. And when trust exists, velocity happens, because trust has to be there to do business together or to do life together or relationships or any of that. Um, we Trust is again hard to earn, easily lost. And sometimes people say, well, how do you develop trust? You develop trust by being very consistent, having integrity, showing that you are trustworthy, as opposed to telling people that you're trustworthy. You actually do actions that are consistent. As an example, you were gracious enough to offer the opportunity for me to be on your podcast. There was a set time for us to start the recording. Well, if I were to show up 10 minutes late, you've trusted me to show up on time. If I don't show up on time, I have now broken trust. Now, that doesn't necessarily seem like a big thing, but it's demonstrating that I'm not trustworthy. So the opposite side of that is being trustworthy, showing up early for meetings. If something happens, making sure the person knows that you are sincerely sorry that you missed the meeting or that you got there late, or you inform people. In other words, you communicate. Trust is huge in the entire communication process. If we communicate clearly with one another, that's building trust. That's trustworthiness. So again, in business, you can do business faster. You can transform things faster if, in fact, both parties have built trust with one another because they're not looking for something to go wrong. They're actually looking for things to go right.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I mean, there's another piece which you touched on, which is connection. And I mean, you do a lot of sales training as well. Can you really highlight connection versus just persuasion to sell something to someone?
Well, there's a different differential between manipulation and persuasion. Manipulating a salesperson does something for their own reasons. Persuasion is actually helping people understand to do things for their reasons, for the prospect's reasons. So again, it takes connection to because connection is built around trust. Connection is getting to know somebody, getting to like somebody. It's beyond just the moment, the it's knowing how long you've been in Calgary. It's what you did prior to that. Your family, your business, your desires. When you're not doing business, what is it you like to do? It's it's a relationship. It's knowing far more than some people would say is necessary. The fact is, all of it's necessary because it's about the other person, and it's having them get comfortable in return, right? Hopefully you are comfortable with me and I am comfortable with you, and as we do that, that's when velocity happens in business. That's when things happen faster because we know we're comfortable with the potential outcome because we're connected. So again, a big part of it is, I say it to many people, the chances of you needing what I do the minute we meet is maybe 5%. But the chances of you needing to know something I know or someone I know is probably 95%. Therefore, I encourage people to become an asset to everyone they meet. Asset is a 5-letter acronym for a spontaneous servant every time. Become a spontaneous servant every time. The rest kind of takes care of itself. Figure out how to provide value to the person you're talking to without them having to ask for it.
Become a spontaneous servant every time. That's a lesson I'm also taking. I know it's amazing and it's touching. So, in your experience, Scott, why do people with the best skills or even tools struggle to connect? What do you think they might be missing?
Well, I think part of it is, I I would say many times they don't know what they don't know. They don't know the value of connection. They have done the book learning, right? They've learned the techniques or the tips or the strategies or some of those things. But what they don't realize is we are human beings, and we're not human doings. We're human beings. We're supposed to be human, right? And so there are many people who know the techniques and know They might know neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, or they might know how to trigger certain activities, but they haven't truly connected. I'd rather actually truly connect and then let the rest, play as it may, and really understand somebody because people make, as an example, people make selling way too hard. It's only 4 words: identify problem, provide solution. People tend to get enamored with their solutions, but they don't tend to bother to find out the person's problems or challenges. They try to fit their solution into every challenge. And I'm the guy who says fit the right solution into the right challenge. And if you don't have that solution, maybe one of my friends has it because I've taken the time to learn about them. And so now I become a solution provider by directing the person with the challenge to the person who has the appropriate solution. That's how you build connection. That's how you build trust. And you become a go to person that somebody says, I know you don't do this, but I know you well enough to know that you will know somebody that does. You're still providing value because you've made that connection.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope somebody's listening and I hope somebody's getting something, some very valuable knowledge there coming from Scott. So, Scott, you bridge new school tools like AI innovation with old school tools like face to face communication. How do you integrate technology without losing the human side of things or the human signal, as I might call it?
Well, I think that the key is to recognize again, there's 8.5 billion people on the planet. I'm pretty sure most of them have figured out how to make more people, and that's not going to stop. There's going to be more people continuing to be born. And again, we're human beings. So I think one of the ways to maintain human connection is to maintain human connection. I think you need to do it. Now, that being said, I also recognize AI and new tools and technologies that come serve a purpose. Uh, AI isn't the first new thing to come along. If you look at anything, I mean, we used to ride horses. All of a sudden, there was a car. Oh, horses will go away. No, horses didn't go away. The use for the horse changed, right? Oh, all of a sudden there's a phone without a cord on it. Oh my God, everything. No, it gave us greater utility. It saved us time. It did a bunch of things. AI is much the same way. AI, if you take your humanness and try to give it to AI, you will find AI does a very poor job of humanness, does a great job of accumulating information quickly. It does a great job of looking through all sorts of data and summarizing it, but it just presents it as here it is. It doesn't romance it. It doesn't make it fun. It doesn't have empathy. It doesn't show compassion. It's just here's a chunk of information really fast. So the point is if you understand what its attributes are and use them appropriately, more than likely it will save you some time so that you can actually be more human with people because you're not having to crunch all the numbers are being crunched for you. Now you've freed up some time. My encouragement would be use that to be human. Contact more people, have more conversations, get face to face, buy a cup of coffee, have lunch. It's amazing what you can do when you're actually with people.
Yeah, that can definitely see your point in bridging the gap, even though using AI for the benefits that it brings, but also still staying us as humans and still doing those things that make us human and also make other people feel human. I really love that. So, Scott, I wanted to ask, what's one principle for you that has remained timeless? I mean, you talked about horses, cars, the change, and all of these things. But what's one principle that has stayed timeless for you across decades and that's still working today?
Uh, I think I think a foundational piece is I like people. I like to learn people's stories. Um, I like to interact. I like to have conversations. I started my career as an 18-year-old life insurance agent while I was going to school and playing Big Ten football, not necessarily because I wanted to sell life insurance. What I wanted to learn how to do is talk to people. People were always going to be in the equation. And so learning how to have face-to-face conversations in physical proximity, that means near each other, gave me the opportunity to have choices because I could communicate messages and I could meet people and create relationships that many people have never learned how to do or had a desire to do. Again, there's 8.5 billion people on the planet. Wouldn't you want to meet them? I mean, I don't know if I want to meet all 8.5 billion, but do I want to meet a bunch of them? Yeah. And it's pretty cool every time I do. I mean, you're a new friend. You live in Canada. I live in the United States. We've had some great conversations. We haven't met face to face yet. I believe we will. But the point is, so we could use technology to create the relationship and then be able to do things of value together, like this podcast. So, I mean, I think that the the number one thing is, and again, I encourage it. Just have fun meeting people. People are interesting. We're at a very interesting time. So many people after the pandemic or during the pandemic withdrew so much. They pulled back into themselves, and they either didn't have anybody to talk to or they chose not to talk to people or whatever. And what they're missing is human interaction. So if you're somebody who creates conversation, says things, is kind to people, it's amazing how people are like, oh, wow, it's so great to meet a nice person. And all you were doing is being kind. It's not that hard.
Oh yeah, I agree. I agree. Our conversations have been amazing, Scott. And I mean, it's the podcast is also a testament of some of those things that, we still continue to connect. You mentioned one thing there that it really drew my attention. You said you started your career selling insurance, and your goal was not really just to sell insurance, but to talk to people, meet people. What was that turning point in your career that started that upward climb? I mean, you got to sharing stages with those, I mean, well-known names. I mean, I think somebody listening want to know, how did you move from there to what you're doing and what you've been doing now for so many years?
Well, first of all, you have to have the desire to do it. And I have always been one that feels that our path is both divinely guided and also that we have the opportunity to positively impact as many lives as we choose to. And so a big part of it was, um, I think there's a tremendous value in constant and never-ending personal improvement. I think when you look at technology and how fast it's moving, if you're not learning all the time, you're kind of getting passed by. And so I've always been a fan of consistent learning. So that's part of it. And then the other, and people say this a lot, and I think people kind of discount it. 90+% of success is showing up. And I think people say, oh, that's a bunch of junk. It really isn't. Um, I am a guy. If there's anything, you and I are. we're people, right? If there's any difference, it's because I take action. Even every once in a while, it's the right action. I take probably far more wrong action. Now, I don't take wrong action purposely. The point is, I take action and I find out if it's the right action or the wrong action after I've taken it. If you don't want you don't want to improve. So for me, my guiding light was um, I felt if I became a professional speaker, I could positively impact more lives. It's pretty simple. Well, if I want to impact more lives and I have that thought, what do I need to do? I needed to retain a speaking mentor and I needed to learn the industry, which I did. Well, isn't it amazing? All of a sudden I learn the industry and I show up to learn that. And somebody calls my speaking mentor and says, "Hey, I need a speaker." He says, I've never recommended anybody I've taught in all these years until now. Scott's your guy. All of a sudden, because I showed up one place, then something else happened, which then caused the next thing to happen, which then gave me a platform, which then people saw me. And then they said, well, we've got a platform. And all of a sudden, the next thing you know, I'm sharing the stage with Stephen Forbes and Colin Powell and Rudy Giuliani and Tom Hopkins and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn. But if you don't take the first action, none of those other actions can happen. So again, sometimes you just got to show up and you got to make up your mind. It's not about where you are today. It's what you want to accomplish in the future. And uh, I'm still pursuing my mission statement. The day that I made the decision to go speaking professionally, I wrote my mission statement. Create a community of 1 million or more, maximizing them personally, professionally, spiritually, and financially. Create enough influence to cause over $100 million in charitable giving and to positively impact 1 billion or more lives on the planet. It's never changed, and I have been pursuing it ever since, and I will pursue it until I'm no longer here.
That's so touching, Scott. It's not about what you are today, it's about what you are becoming tomorrow or what you want to be tomorrow. You just read your mission statement there, and it really touched me because I'm really big on mission statements. And I just want you to speak to somebody who is also struggling to figure out what their mission statement might look like. What would be your advice to them?
Well, I think the biggest part is I truly believe that was divinely inspired, and I don't know that I particularly created that. It's what came through me. I mean, I would get quiet and that's where I think, really tapping into your heart and really listening. Um, in fact, I said it on a radio show a couple of weeks ago. I didn't create that to sound cool. It's what came out, right? It came out of my heart. And so I would say the same thing. Wherever you are, and again, there are going to be people that say, not what I was expecting. Wherever you are today is perfect. Now, it might not be great, but it's perfect because that's where you're supposed to be. Sometimes we experience not such great things to finally get us inspired enough to experience great things, right? We sometimes we need some not so fun things to happen to us to say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm going to go do something else. And so if you're not experiencing what you would like to be experiencing, you have to modify something. It's just the way it works. Um, there's not a secret pill or a snap your fingers, or at least none that I know of. When I wanted to become a professional speaker, I retained a speaking mentor. When I wanted to learn more about success habits, I retained the best success mentor on the planet. So if you're not where you want to be today, more than likely there is somebody who is where you want to be. Model them. Find a, find the mentor, find the coach, find the person who has achieved what you would like to achieve and work with them because what I have found is all the great ones always are willing to pass down their path, how they got there, and how they can save you some time so that you can get there a lot quicker.
Oh yeah, it's really touching. I mean, all the areas you've touched, and I just want to reflect back on this one is if you're not where you want to be, you definitely would have people around you, people online that you can connect with that are where you want to be. That's just what Scott reiterated. So reach out to them, model after them, get a mentor, or get a coach, better still, who can help you get to where you want to be, especially if you're thinking of creating a mission statement for yourself or getting to a specific direction towards a specific period of time.
Yeah. So one of the things I learned a long time ago, if I wanted to drive from Dallas to Calgary, I could do that and I could do it at night and I could do it with headlights that only shine 200 yards at a time or 200 feet at a time. Now, it's more than 200 feet between Dallas and Calgary, and yet I could still do that 200 feet at a time because that's the only distance that my headlights would shine on the car if I was driving. The point is, you don't have to see the entire path between where you are and where you want to go. You just need to see enough of it to take that step, to then take the next step, to then take the next step. And if you did that consistently enough, you would arrive. And so, again, part of it is knowing where you are, knowing where you want to be, and setting a course toward that and doing the things that are consistent with achieving whatever that dream or desire is.
I really hope somebody's listening and somebody will find a lot of value, especially in this guide and this advice. So, Scott, with over 3,000 plus live events, decades of experience, I imagine not everything unfolded smoothly. What's something that didn't work the way you expected? And what did that teach you?
Oh, I'm going to suggest there were far more things that didn't work as planned than did work as planned. Uh, what does it teach you? It teaches you that it'll be okay. Uh, you know, I mean, my goodness, uh, I completely severed an Achilles tendon and went from hero to zero overnight in my college football career. I was told I'd never walk right again, never play sports again, never walk without a limp. I came back and played Big Ten football, won 10 racquetball championships, have never had a limp, and been able to do it. So the second that it happened, I can assure you, it was not planned to happen that way. It was phenomenally painful. It was traumatic. It was all sorts of things. That being said, I learned the lesson that you can come back from anything if you work hard enough at it, and you're inspired enough to do that. Um, I've had, I lived through a near-death experience. I'm an overachiever. I lived, so it's like, the lessons you learn from that are amazing because I literally had a team of doctors sitting around me going, "We don't understand why you're alive." And I finally said, "You're kind of irritating me, suggesting I shouldn't be alive." So the point is, you're going to have a lot of, uh, you're going to be off course far more than you're on course in your life. It's not about being off course. It's about being off course less often, less far. It's the only way. the only way to get any feedback is to take an action. Rarely do you take the right action. I mean, hopefully you do. I mean, I would like to take better actions faster, but at the same time, it's not always the way it works out, but it's okay because that's why I teach my clients, my students, 5 questions in any situation. What's the lesson? What's the gift? What did you do to create it? How would you modify it next time to make it better? How's this going to serve you the rest of your life? So you can use those 5 questions in anything. Somebody said, "Well, my kid just had a car accident." Use the 5 questions. What's the lesson? Distracted driving doesn't pay. What's the gift? They weren't killed. What'd they do to create it? They might have been texting and driving. How are they going to modify it next time? Don't text and drive. How's it going to serve you the rest of your life? I'm going to tell other people that I made a mistake and I'm blessed to have come up through it well. Don't make the same mistake. Okay, now it's a learning situation. You're going to go through a bunch of junk in life. It's not about the junk. What do you learn from the junk? What do you take from it? And how does it make your life better overall? That's your opportunity.
Lesson, the gift, the opportunity. That's that's so amazing. I think somebody must have taken something out of that. Now, Scott, you do so many things. How do you personally stay aligned with joy, purpose, while operating at such a high level?
You know, I have a handful of go-to people that you know, talk with consistently. Um, I have people I invest in. I have people who invest in me, meaning we can have conversations when it's tough. I've got a memory box. That memory box is about 14 inches by 12 inches by 5 or 6 inches deep. And if I get an attaboy or a thank you card or a hey, you changed my life kind of message, I take them and I put them in that box. And if there's a time where I'm not feeling as great as I'd like to feel, I go review some of those and go, it feels pretty good. I made a difference in those people's lives, you know? So again, part of it is it- it's like anything else. You've got to put systems in place. You you've you know, there's going to be times where things don't always go right. And you have to have people surrounding you that know that you gave it your best shot. That they stay there with you and stay in a supportive role of wanting to lift people up. That it's a joy to see when you can share something that lifts somebody up. And that's I truly believe that's why I'm on the planet is to lift a lot of people up. And it's not like I'm the only one that can do it or the only one that should do it, but I'm committed to doing it. And I think that that's the biggest thing. One of my friends one day, and I wrote about it in one of my books, but she said, if you truly want to get out of your own junk, find somebody else's, find somebody else who's got some junk going on, and you'll probably see yours isn't as bad as you thought. And so part of it is, again, if you're consistently lifting people up, a little inconvenience in your world probably isn't nearly as big as you think because there are some people in other worlds that are, having some far more serious issues. If you got your health, you got your family, you got people that love you and you love, life's pretty good.
Yeah, you mentioned your books, Scott. Can you just tell listeners, some of the books you've written and what they're about, just so that if somebody's listening and really must have enjoyed most of the things you shared. They might also be curious to want to read more about you.
Sure. My latest book was actually something. It was kind of the process that took one of my clients from 8 million to 100 million in 5.5 years. It's called 90 second success tips, 104 tips to sell more with less effort. So that's more of a sales related book, a communications related book. Prior to that was second chances, from from surviving to thriving. Uh, Talked about my near death experience and coming through there. Wrote a complete standalone book on that called That Sucks, What Now? Real world solutions for getting through what you're going through. Never had a desire to detail all the stuff I had been through, but I did have a desire to share all the solutions and lessons learned. Um, my first book was well, that wasn't actually my first book. My first standalone book was Talking with Giants. Powerful leaders share life lessons. And that book was actually designed to call attention that generosity builds prosperity, not the other way around. You don't prosper, then give. You give, then prosper. You don't give to prosper, but the byproduct is that you do prosper. And there's 21 charities tied to that book. And it was really designed to get people to pay it forward. To again, no matter where they are in their life, there are other people that could use even more help, and encourage them to do it. So I've been blessed. I've written a lot of books on a lot of different things. And so, if anybody wants more information, just reach out. I'd love to share it.
Yeah, I believe there's somebody listening today that would definitely be interested in at least reaching out and also picking some copies of your books. You're so inspirational, Scott. Uh,
Thank you.
Now, as we begin to wrap up a few things here, when you look at the world today, I mean, leaders, business people, speakers, entrepreneurs, with everything happening around that we know, what kind of leadership does this moment require?
I think it needs integrity. I think it needs to. My platform has been to return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet. Respect is how we treat someone else. Honor is how we lift them up. When that is done well between people, we all experience dignity. I think we need more respect, honor, and dignity in the planet. Respect does not mean that you agree with everything else that everybody else does. It means you respect them for their side of it, and you can have your side of it as well. We've gotten into a world where people have, uh, you know, supplied way too much disinformation, misinformation, flat out lies, uh, and we need to get back to truth. We need to get back to trust. We need to, so I mean, we need to get back to integrity. We need to get back to wholeness, and um, it- we we used to have differences. We used to be maybe 30 to 45 degrees apart. Well, if you're 30 to 45 degrees apart, I can listen to your position. You can listen to my position. We can probably make some common ground. When we're diametrically opposed at 180 degrees, well, I don't like you. Well, I hate you. Where do you go from that? Right? I mean, you've got to find some commonalities. We're all human beings. We're all on the same planet. It's this isn't a one or the other. It's a both and. We need to coexist. And you do that, again, I believe, through respect, honor, and dignity. Again, we don't always have to agree, but we should be respectful of each other. And respect has gone out the window. It's crazy. I just, let's be kind to one another. Let's be nice to one another. Oh, that's not realistic. Why? I choose not to believe that. I choose to believe that you can be as nice to people as you want to be, and you can treat them with respect. And when you do, good things happen.
Yes, let's be kind to one another. Let's be nice to one another. Let's make the world a better place.
Right.
Scott, is there anything you wish people asked you or something you want to leave with someone listening today?
Uh, you know, I'm pretty much an open book. Anybody can ask me anything and I'll answer it. It's the I've been blessed to be surrounded by some really amazing people. I've written checks to 19 mentors across my career. If I wanted to learn something or didn't know something, I went to the very best and did everything possible to learn it and then implement it. Having the knowledge is one thing, implementing the knowledge is a whole nother thing. Um, y- you know, I many times across those 3,000 live events, I would step into the audience and start taking questions immediately. So there are very few questions that I probably haven't had it over time. Um, I mean, I think that one of the things that came to mind is backstage with John Maxwell one day, and I said, John, what question do you get asked the most? And he said, oh, that's simple. He said, how do I achieve what you've achieved? I said, well, that's a pretty cool question. How do you answer it? He said, I answer it with a statement and a question back. And I said, I'd love to hear that. And he said, if you want to achieve what I've been able to achieve, the only question becomes, are you willing to do what I was willing to do to achieve it? And I think that's the mic drop moment, as opposed to, you know, being jealous of somebody else or feeling some sort of way toward them. The question is, are you willing to do what they were willing to do in order to achieve it? Because success can be duplicated. So can lack of success. There's plenty of models out there. Robert, you've got talents and capabilities I've never even thought of. And so I've learned a lot from you in our conversations as well. It's fun to learn from people. Just be open to sharing what you can share to be of service to somebody. And it's amazing what'll happen.
Oh, Scott, I'm so humbled by your words. I think one of the beautiful spaces we've had is the Connected Leaders Academy, and just the genius of knowledge, like sometimes you describe it. It's just so amazing. People coming together and just really sharing, and the learning just goes on. I mean, you can never say you've learned enough. And I'm happy to hear, people like you with years of experience that have been on stages, you're still learning. So, so
You,
definitely,
hey,
what
Ray,
about
Ray,
us?
Ray Kroc said it in, I think, 1953. When you're green, you're growing. When you're ripe, you rot. So prefer to be growing at this point.
Yes, yes, I agree with you 100%. So, Scott, as we are wrapping things up, we have a tradition at the Voice of Impact. So you can see we have a word die right here. If you look at it, you
Mhm.
definitely see a couple of words on it, and I'm going to read the words to you, and I want you to choose two words, one for you and one for someone listening today. And I just want you to speak to those words. So it's make a difference, rebuild, overcome, stronger, peace, and patience. So I'll read it again. Make a difference, rebuild, overcome, stronger, peace, and patience.
Well, the word for me that is peace. I think that um, I enjoy doing what I do. I have amazing opportunities to do it, and it brings me peace. I learned. through my near death experience, I believe the equation for total peace, and that is God's plan and timing is perfect, plus all things work together for my good equals total peace. So the infinite plan and timing is perfect, and it's done for me, not to me. And because of that, I'm at peace. And the other side of that for somebody else is overcome. And the I know that you may be in a situation that today feels not as possible as you would like it to be. Well, the good news is today can be a demarcation point. This show, something you heard, some action you take can be the turning point to put you in a better place and truly overcome whatever it is. The reality is, and you may or may not want to hear this, but wherever you are is perfect because you're still here. Yeah, it's not great, maybe. I get that. But as I said one time, they can't eat me. I'm still here. Right. And so are you. So you can, if you're still here and you're hearing this, you can overcome whatever it is that you're into. There are resources around you, there are people that will help you. Um, you just got to make up your mind. Decision comes from the word decidere, to cut off any other way. Just overcome, make the decision you're going to, and go from there.
Ah, Scott, it's really been amazing just listening to you and the inspiration you bring and the experience that you back that up. Not just experience on the stage and your trainings, but also as a person. I mean, the things you've been through, which comes out, the authenticity and everything that exudes your presence. It's just mind blowing. And I'll say we are humbled to have you speak to the guests of Voice of Impact. So, Scott, how can someone connect with you? Let's say somebody that has listened to you, that has listened to the work you do. Maybe you need a speaking engagement. Maybe you need to pick up your book, or maybe just wants to connect and chat with you about any business opportunity, or just get to know Scott a little bit better. What are the best ways that somebody can connect with you?
The easiest way, I don't hide very well. My website is scottschilling.com and my email is scott@scottschilling.com. And that's my real email. And yes, I answer them. Sometimes they get busy and it takes me a little bit, but um, I love to, help people answer questions or, point them in a path or do things like that. So that's a way on LinkedIn, uh, social medias. I'm around somewhere. Like I say, I try not to hide well.
Scott, thank you for your wisdom, your generosity, and for reminding us that no matter how fast the world moves, connection is still that currency of impact. For listeners, today's conversation reminds us that growth doesn't come from tools alone. It comes from presence, it comes from clarity, it comes from authenticity, it comes from courage. And most of all, it comes from showing up and being fully human. And to someone listening today, your voice matters, your presence matters, your ability to connect, maybe just that thing that changes everything around you. And like Scott said, you are the perfect place right now. No matter what it is, you are the perfect place right now. But if you need to be able to move towards a direction, there are steps, there are stages that can take you there. And if you definitely envy someone or love to be like someone, you must be ready to make the sacrifices that they made to get to where they want to be. That's a lesson I took. I hope somebody else took that lesson as well. We are Ndoping and Co performance designers. We're consultants. We're strategy coaches. We support entrepreneurs and nonprofits in establishing what we call a sustainable system for measurable output. We coach, we clarify, we redefine, and we support organizational and entrepreneurial strategy. We build capacity for alignment of a system that gives you back time, establishes a work culture, and provides the strength to withstand changes during business turbulence. Our website is www.ndopingco.com, and our business email is simple, coaching@ndopingco.com. You can find us on Facebook as well. Ndoping Coaching. On Instagram is Ndoping_CO. If at all you want to reach out to Scott, he's giving you his details, or if by any chance you missed that, feel free to shoot us an email. We'll be more than happy to connect you with Scott. Thank you so much for listening today. This has been the Voice of Impact. Keep listening, keep connecting, and keep. And it's very simple. Empower as many people as possible. Empower as many leaders as possible. Touch as many, professionals as I can. Be able to make a difference.